Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am in a bit of a weird or different location today. I'm sat in front of my bookcase in my dining room. Just needed a change of location and decided to go with it. So I hope you don't mind. The lighting's quite nice, which is always good. I'm going to keep this relatively brief just because I am short on time today. And also I think I'd like to kind of keep the conversation going. So this might be the first part of subsequent videos. We shall see. So there's two major kind of announcements to make. The first one is that this video contains spoilers, okay? Contains spoilers, so if you haven't watched season 2 of Bridgerton yet, stop watching this video. Literally, do not ruin it for yourself. Go away, watch the series on Netflix, and then come back. And if you continue to watch this video, even though I have clearly told you that there are spoilers in it, and it spoils it for you, don't come back and blame me, because you were the one who carried on watching it. So, that was the first announcement. The second one is that I am basing this opinion, this feedback on season 2, purely on the TV show. I haven't read the books, haven't read any of them. I'm not sure whether I will or not, but I've had some conversations with a few people who have read the books, and so I'll be including those opinions within the video, at least referencing them, but I haven't read the book, so I can't comment on anything to do with the book versus the TV adaptation. I will be going purely on my experience as a viewer, having watched the first season, and then going on to watch the second season. So, this, as you're probably going to be able to tell from the title of this video, this is going to be how I think season 2 of Bridgerton should have happened. But I do just want to spend a couple of minutes just at the beginning talking about my overall thoughts on the series. So I watched the first season. I was a little bit late to actually join in the first season. I think I started watching it like maybe a month after everybody else, but everyone had been watching it. A few of my friends have been really excited for it coming out like for months even beforehand, and I don't know why I wasn't kind of on the trend, but I just wasn't aware of it. I wasn't conscious of it, and when it came out, I wasn't really that bothered about watching it either. But then I heard that like everybody was enjoying it, and so I did what everybody does and I jumped on the train and I watched it. And I think I binge watched it over like a weekend. I think I was having a bad flare up with my back, and I watched it. I remember being in bed when I watched it because it's just one of those things when I have a bad flare up with my back, I have to go and lay down. And I remember being able to binge watch it over 2 days, which I wouldn't normally do. And yeah, really enjoyed it. I had a lot of thoughts around kind of lots of different things to do with the show really, which I don't really want to go into here, but I had a lot of thoughts, but overall really enjoyed it. Absolutely fell in love with Eloise's character. I still love Eloise even after the second season. So yeah, there were things I absolutely loved, things that I didn't love too much, and questions that I had. So I don't really want to go into all of that. I know there's a couple of controversial parts in season 1. If you do want me to do a bit of a review of season 1 and my thoughts on it, let me know and I can do that later. So coming into season 2, expectations were pretty high. I was excited to see it. I was interested to know what would happen next, because obviously we'd had Daphne and Lord Bassett's kind of marriage and courtship and all that kind of stuff. And so I didn't know whether they'd be continuing with that storyline or whether we'd kind of find new people. And then I watched the trailer and obviously found out it was going to be Anthony's story, which I have realised that there are 7 children, 7 Bridgerton children, aren't there? So technically we could have 7 seasons, at least. So I thought that was very clever of the writers to instantly start with 7 Bridgerton children, because it just makes it really easy to do subsequent seasons. So yeah, overall, I absolutely loved the first episode and the last episode. I thought they were brilliant, absolutely great standalone episodes. The middle bit was just very underwhelming, I have to say, and it was the main storyline for me. I mean, I knew within about 5 seconds of her like racing across the park in the first episode, I was like, well, they're going to get together. I knew it, and I know that everybody will have known it, but it felt like, because we knew that was a foregone conclusion at the beginning, I assumed that the storyline leading to them getting together at the end would be a bit more twisty and turny and interesting. It's not, in my opinion. I don't think it's interesting at all. It's very much, oh, I hate him, oh, I hate her, we hate each other so much, but oh my God, there's this passion and we just want to rip each other's clothes off. In real life, I have not found a single example in real life of when I hate someone. I mean, I very rarely hate somebody, but very rarely found an example where I don't like someone that then so instantly turns to lust. So I feel like that's an overly used trope that isn't really very realistic. And I know that this is a fantasy historical TV show. I know that TV shows aren't real and that they're made up and they're fictional. But I like storylines, even in fantasy shows, to have that element of realistic relationships, even if the setting, the historical time period, everything else is fantasy. I like the relationships to be realistic. And also, maybe it's something about growing older, moving into my 30s. I'm so over the kind of Disney princess-esque type relationships of, you know, oh, we can hate each other, we can talk to each other like crap, and he will still love me and chase me across the fields and this, that, and the other. A, they're not representative of real relationships. They're not representative of how relationships work in real life. And B, I feel like there's a huge lack of mutual respect for each person in those storylines. Maybe that's what makes them dramatic. Maybe if we just had absolutely realistic relationships of what we are like right now, it would be boring. But then again, Sally Rooney did Normal People and it was a huge hit. So anyway, that was my feelings on the overall show. Great first episode, great last episode, the middle was meh. Having said that, I thought Eloise's story, outstanding. Absolutely love Eloise. Penelope's story, again, brilliant. The only thing I will say about those two is they don't get enough on-screen airtime. I really hope that their stories become more to the foreground in season 3 and other ones go to the back. So, on to what I think season 2 should have been like. Now, again, I just want to add a little caveat here. I do this with a lot of TV shows or a lot of books. If the kind of plot or the narrative or the ending is unsatisfactory to me, I tend to make up alternatives in my head of like, oh, it would have been good if this had happened. But this is just my thought, my opinion, my kind of wish list of what I would have liked to have seen in the show. Of course, I'm not saying that the writers aren't good at their job. They're fantastic and everybody has lots of different opinions, and that's why it's really interesting to spend time discussing these things, because what one person thinks is absolutely phenomenal, another person might not. So just bear that in mind when you're listening to this. I'm not saying that they didn't know what they were doing and that they weren't fantastic writers. This is just how I personally would have liked to see the TV show go. So in terms of the main storyline, so I liked the fact that there were 2 new characters. I loved the fact that Kate and Edwina came into the storyline. I would have liked more time for Edwina's mother to be explored. There was very little kind of hints of her storyline, but nothing major was ever made of it. Like, I think her storyline sounds so interesting. Their mother was Lord and Lady Sheffield's daughter, very, very well respected, very eligible young lady, and ran off with what they're referring in the show as a common working man. And then they went to India. He already had one daughter at the time. They had another daughter together. And so Kate and Edwina were half sisters, but regard themselves as full sisters. A little bit like me and my sister. We're half sisters, but we don't ever really talk about that because we've been born and raised together. And so we consider ourselves full sisters. So it's very similar in that situation. So I would have liked more time getting to know the mother. It feels like within this show, because the pace moves so fast, you don't get time to really get to know some of the kind of external characters. And I think that might be a purposeful move by the writers and the kind of developers of the show, because you don't want to put every single character development out straight away. You kind of want to get to know people as you go along. At least I hope that that's what's going to happen, and we're going to get to know people deeper as we go through the seasons, because I feel like everybody's very face value at the moment, other than the very, very main characters. So Penelope, I know that this whole thing with Colin and being like, oh, I would never date Penelope Featherington is exactly kind of what I thought was going to come. But I would kind of like, I think what I would have liked to have seen with Penelope was her find that out quite soon on, like rather than leaving it to the last episode. It would be nice if that had happened like in the middle, and then it would have shown how their relationship kind of broke down from then on. But I'm going to withhold judgment on that because again, that might be coming next season. I think with Penelope, I would have liked her to reveal that she was, what's her name? Lady Whistledown. God. A brain fart moment then. I would have quite liked her to reveal that she was Lady Whistledown to Eloise. It'd have been so interesting to see Penelope and Eloise together, teaming up as this kind of like girl force that could write everything together. I think Eloise now, what's next for her character? She's had a love interest that didn't work. She's had a bit of a dabble into Wollstonecraft and other feminist literature, but that never really got explored in the TV show enough. I think it would have been really interesting to see Penelope say to Eloise in the middle of the season, I'm Lady Whistledown, but I need your help. Can we do it together? Let's add some depth. Because one of the things that Eloise says about Lady Whistledown is that all she does is gossip. How amazing would it have been if together they'd have forged this kind of like literary company almost, where they do Lady Whistledown, but maybe Eloise could have been, I don't know, Lord Ratchet or something. So Lady Whistledown and Lord Ratchet, and it's kind of more opinions becoming this kind of pamphlet, and then it could have almost like become a little publication. And I think that would have been a really interesting kind of character development plot for both of them together. And I think that it would have allowed Penelope, because I will be really, really upset if in future seasons Eloise just finds someone, falls madly in love and gets married. I will be furious if that happens, because she's so much more of an interesting character than just being a love interest with a little bit of other things that make her a bit of a rebel at the time. So I think that would have been really nice to see, would have been Eloise and Penelope kind of teaming up and becoming kind of feminist literary kind of wonders, but under the cloak of secrecy at the time. I think I liked the storyline of the Featheringtons and kind of Lady Featherington's redemption arc. I really liked that. And I have heard from some other people that it's not necessarily like that in the book, that it's not Lady Featherington who has, it's not the eldest or the youngest daughter, whichever. It's not the daughter that is caught with the Featherington heir. It's not him, it's not them two together, and it doesn't happen in the Orangery. But again, I haven't read the book, so I can only go off the TV show. So I kind of liked that whole storyline. But I don't know, like I liked it, but again, maybe it just didn't have enough screen time. I would have quite liked for there to have been a few more consequences for him, rather than just disappear and this, that and the other. And also I would have liked more time. I think it would have been better if it had shown more of Lady Featherington and him actually properly duping people. Like they talk about it going on in the background, but you never really see any footage of them talking to people. You do a little bit, but not enough. And I'm kind of curious as to how Lady Featherington's going to be able to play the victim when she was the one that was quite obviously talking to people about the jewels and this, that and the other. So I feel like there were a couple of little plot holes just in how that would execute, again, if it was a real situation. And I would really I think the two sisters really need to stop being put in the cast of the ugly sisters from Cinderella, because that is how it's looking at the moment, and I really, really don't like it. I think it's an awful kind of cliche that just because you look ugly, I mean, I guess the whole thing with Cinderella is they act ugly and therefore they might not be visibly ugly, but it's characterised, it's kind of cartooned in that way. Is it cartooned? Is that a word? Do you know what I mean? It's made cartoon-like because of those situations. But I just think I'd like to get to know those two sisters more, and I'd actually really like it if the non-married sister, the one that was supposed to be getting engaged to Lord Featherington this time around, I'd kind of like it if she could team up with Penelope in some way, or at least start having Penelope's back a bit more. Maybe she could have helped her, like, get out of the yellow gowns, because my God, if Penelope is in one more yellow gown next season, I am going to go mad. Girl needs to get her some more colours. And actually, I would have really loved that, because Penelope was teaming up with the seamstress. Why did Penelope not ask the seamstress for a new dress that was a different colour? Especially as that would have given her the excuse to be going to the seamstresses to get the dress made and fitted and all this, that and the other. That just seemed like such an obvious thing for me. And it would have been part of her, maybe this will happen next season, part of her coming out and breaking out of the mould of being controlled by her mother, and the fact that she is getting closer and closer towards Lady Whistledown's actual character. You know, she's coming out of her shell more, she's starting to learn who she is. And we saw a little bit of that further on in the season as her hairstyle changed and became a bit more sophisticated and grown up. But my God, the yellow gowns. Jeez, she needs some real beautiful, like, navy blues and some like earthy greens. I think would look really lovely on her, because she's got red hair in the show, and I think those kind of like complete contrasting colours would be really lovely for her skin tone and her hair. So yeah, I'm really annoyed that they didn't do that she didn't get some beautiful gown in the last episode that she'd been kind of working on with the seamstress in the background. In my opinion, for this season, I wouldn't have brought back Daphne at all. I just wouldn't have had Daphne in it if, what's his name? Bassett wasn't coming back either. Can't remember his name now. That actor didn't have his contract renewed for season 2. Don't know why, but he wasn't coming back. So I don't see the point in Daphne coming back into it. And this whole thing of, oh, I'm just turning up with my baby. I mean, historically, that absolutely would have happened. Women and their children often toured family estates and went from house to house to house while their husbands were working or in Parliament. And so historically it is accurate. It is historically accurate. But I just felt that she wasn't needed. I mean, I love the actress, I loved her character, but she just wasn't really needed in this season. So either it would have been... So I think that leads on to my next point, really, which is it would have been really nice to see some development of Daphne and I'm calling him Lord Bassett. I don't even know if that's the right name. If their characters had more screen time in season 2. Now, I know they couldn't do that because they didn't extend the contract for the actor, but I personally I'm fed up of watching romantic historical dramas that end at marriage. Why can't we have a historical TV drama that shows after marriage? You know, we get it with Downton Abbey. So I would like to have seen Daphne and Bassett living afterwards, which is, I think, one of the things that I loved so much about season 1 was the fact that they got married quite early on in the season. I think it was like mid-season, wasn't it, when they actually got married? And then there were some episodes afterwards about them moving to their new home, settling in, that problematic scene where, you know, trigger warning, she basically rapes her husband. Never acceptable to put into a TV show without commenting on it and saying something about it. But I liked the fact that it showed them after marriage. And I think that could have been continued into this season. So I'm hoping that maybe kind of comes back around in season 3. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I have many more, but I'm going to keep it short because I want this to be a relatively quick video. I could do another one. I do have quite a few friends who are historians as well. So maybe, if you want it, would you like a little collaboration video where I collab with another historian and we can have a little back and forth. We can have a chat about Bridgerton, about some of the things that I've discussed, some of the things that they think. Is that something you'd like? If it is, let me know in the comments. And please, if you don't already, please do subscribe to my channel, like this video. I do all sorts of videos about history, books, writing. And yeah, if you would like to support me, I'm a small writer. I work alongside my writing and my creative work, so any kind of subscription or like supports me and helps me to continue to make my own creative work. So thank you so much if you do hit that subscribe button, and as always, thank you to everyone who already subscribes and has done for a very long time. You guys are amazing. All right guys, I will see you in my next video. Thank you and take care and stay safe.